Count it down to Washington Mardi Gras, and the man sitting to my left will be headed up there as well, State Senator Franklin Foyle. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Brian, thank you. Thank you for having me this morning.
No, glad to have you on. I appreciate you getting in because I know it's a busy day. The travel day for Washington Mardi Gras is ridiculous, so I appreciate you getting us in.
No, looking forward to it, and it's a good opportunity to go up there and network, and it's a fun time.
And I love doing it because it's difficult to explain until you're in it. And then seeing all the different people there from all the different walks of life, the number of people who are from right down the street, and you don't see them until you're there.
No, you're right. And you're going to be doing your show up there as well.
I'll be doing 2 shows a day. This show and then an afternoon drive show from 4 till 6 in the afternoon, where we'll kind of recap the day's, what went on with, let's say Greg Bowser from the Louisiana Chemical Association, or who else do I have? Julie Stokes is going to be coming on with me. Lieutenant Governor Billy Nunn-Gasser will be on. The guest list is starting to fill up right now for, just kind of, hey, what'd you do today sort of thing. Oh, I met with this person about this and this and about this. And then to take all those networking opportunities and plans and networking opportunities and turn them into plans to see growth and advancement here in Louisiana once everybody gets back home again.
It'll be a quick trip before we get back to work. We start a special session next week, as you know.
Monday is when the special session starts. Thank you for the segue. What a pro. Thank you for the segue. Special session on insurance. What are your expectations for this special session?
I think it'll be quick. There's only one item that's in the call for the special session, and it's to appropriate money into this insurance fund. And the amount of money that the Commissioner of Insurance has asked for is $45 million. We do have that money in the budget because we have a budget surplus. Mm-hmm. And the Commissioner has said that if we are able to appropriate this money, he's going to be able to use this money to get some new insurance companies into Louisiana before hurricane season to write policies. Now, we're going to have to make sure that we have safeguards in place, that we're not just giving this money out to companies that are not going to stay here. But that's what the plan is. So I think the session will probably last about 5 days. It's called for 7, but it takes a minimum of 5 days to pass any law.
Mm-hmm. So you appropriate these dollars over to this fund. The fund is used to, I don't want to say pay off. That's not the right terminology. Incentivize companies to do business here. But the intent here is to depopulate Citizens property insurance. Is there an area that's in between incentivizing the company and making sure they actually pick up the policies once they start doing business here?
Well, and that's the challenge. We're going to have to make sure there's safeguards in effect if we incentivize companies with these funds. And we're not going to have time really during the special session to put all those safeguards in place. We're going to have to hit when we start the regular session, we're going to have to hit it hard and quick and put those policies in place. Mm-hmm. The reason we're going in early, and the Commissioner of Insurance came and made this case to the Joint Budget Committee, is the insurance companies need to know now so they can start writing for hurricane season that these funds will be available.
Last week in his Ask the Governor program, Governor John Bel Edwards was talking about the timing. And it couldn't compute with me. I was like, no matter what the timing is, now is more time than April. Right? If y'all wait on this until the regular session, you're waiting until April 10th is the beginning of the regular session. So no matter how you break it down, anytime before that is more time for Commissioner Donilon to start making phone calls and insurance companies to start getting their ducks in a row. So with that being said, is now even enough time?
Well, we're going to have to make it work. This is when the request came from the commissioner just recently. It was not on my radar that we were going to be having a special session until about a week ago. So better act now than wait any longer. Look, we've had some terrible hurricanes over the last few years, and they just seem to be getting to be more intense as time goes by. And what people don't realize is hurricane season actually begins June 1st.
Yes. Yeah, June 1st through November 30th is the full-on hurricane season from start to finish. That being said, though, I mean, we have storms outside of hurricane season that cause just as much damage as some hurricane. Like, for example, last night, the storms that rolled through last night. There's 3 mobile home owners in Point Coupee Parish that would say, hey, this was way worse than a hurricane. So
there's no doubt about it. And look, it's not just a Louisiana problem with the insurance. It's a national problem, but we certainly have our fair share of catastrophes and natural disasters. So we've got to get this right and to help our citizens.
We're talking with State Senator Franklin Foyle about the upcoming insurance special session. Insurance Commissioner Jim Donilon said, I am grateful for Governor Edwards' decision to call the special session and to the legislature for hearing us out. I look forward to working together to get this program funded and start providing relief for Louisiana policyholders as soon as possible. It feels like it's going to be so cut and dry. It feels like, like you said, a minute. It takes 5 days to get things done. It should take 5 days to get this done. That being said, one of the things that I thought was worthy of looking at last week, when it was still being debated as to whether or not there would be a special session and this would be folded into the regular session. If this would have been folded into the regular session, how much movement on insurance would have been contingent upon lawmakers wanting other things done as well?
Well, that's certainly a possibility, and I think that was one of the reasons we're going to go ahead in this special session and have it now, get the money appropriated so we can let the commissioner go to work to get the insurance companies here. But we're going to have to address the bigger issues when we get to the regular session, because this is a problem that's not going away. This is basically a temporary fix to put this funding together. And we're going to have other big issues too. I mean, it's a fiscal session, so it's not going to be as long, but there's a lot I expect that you'll see on the table.
And we'll get to the rest of the regular session in just a minute. But before we close the book on the insurance session, you said this is a temporary fix. What are some of the long-term solutions here? Is it just making the ability to do business more viable? It can't be as simple as we get too much damage because of hurricanes, right? There's got to be a blueprint.
No, there is, and I don't have all the answers. Some people complain about litigation, but I think the reality is we have to make it an environment where companies want to come work right here. You can't put too many mandates on the companies because they don't have to be here. So
right.
It's a balance, but you want to make it where it's profitable for companies to come right here and where you get them here to cover our citizens.
State Senator Franklin Foyle is our guest. So a little bit on the insurance session, which will start on Monday. And believe me, we'll take a deep dive through next week as we basically get a play-by-play on this one as it happens. Looking ahead to April, what are you expecting and what would you like to get done for the regular session?
Well, one of the biggest issues that we've been very fortunate to have a budget surplus the last couple of years. We're going to have about $1 billion surplus again this year. And I want to make sure that we use that money for one-time projects, infrastructure, road and traffic improvements, and I think you'll see that here. We've already put a big investment on the Mississippi River Bridge.
Yep.
I think you'll see more money towards that, and we have a lot of other projects. So that's going to be one of the biggest projects, or one of the biggest issues. And then, there's a lot of talk now about, hey, maybe we should look at repealing our sales tax. There's going to be some bills brought forth in that respect, and you see that across the South as a trend.
The Pelican Institute has a lawsuit out there right now about the sales tax. It's not about repealing it, but about we had a bill. It was either last year or the year before about consolidating sales tax collection. When you have this many different taxing districts and whatnot, those who do business online, those who do business from out of state, they have so many different hoops they have to jump through. Would repealing be the one that gets the momentum, or just simplifying?
Well, there's different thoughts, and I say repeal. I misspoke. Not repeal the sales tax, repeal the income tax, and you would replace that. With
yes.
Gotcha. I misspoke in that respect.
All good.
You're seeing that across the South, Tennessee, Florida, Texas. None of those states have income tax. Of course, you're going to have to do something to replace some of that income. You can't just wipe it out and expect to do business as usual.
So the repealing the income tax, that is one that is gaining a lot of momentum. We've talked with a number of different folks about it. In fact, State Representative Richard Nelson, who's announcing he's running for governor, he's huge in favor of that. How much oxygen is being fed to that fire?
I think it's going to get a lot of attention. I don't know that it'll get across the finish line this session, but I think it's getting more and more attention because it's something that's around the South. You see more and more of it. Not only do you have the states that have already repealed it, I read in the paper the other day, Mississippi's looking at repealing the income tax, and there's another state, it might be Alabama, I don't recall. So I think you're going to see a lot of attention. But once again, you can't just wipe out income tax completely,
right?
Because we have a lot of other needs. So you have to figure out a way to replace that. But it would simplify things and I think make us more competitive.
Walk me through. State Senator Franklin Foyle is our guest. Walk me through what it means when we say fiscal session, because how is it different from last year's session?
So every odd number year, we can bring bills related money, what I'd call money bills. So taxes, tax credits, tax policy. And the purpose for that is the people wanted us to really concentrate every other year on the fiscal issues. And so in a fiscal session, you're limited to only 5 bills that are not fiscal bills. And so it really tries to keep the focus on the tax policy.
So when we say fiscal, that means all things money related. So when state lawmakers are limited to 5 bills that are not fiscally related, they're not limited to just 5 bills. They can if it involves money in some way, shape, or form, it's still good to go.
That's right. You can bring unlimited money bills, but as far as non-fiscal related bills, you can only bring 5. And that may sound like a lot, but I can tell you I get a lot of requests, and some of them might seem somewhat mundane. For example, here the local court system has asked me to help them get 2 new commissioner positions to evaluate people who are in jail for bail. That's not a real exciting bill, but it's something that needs to be done. So it's 5 bills is a challenge.
Yes, I would imagine so. And at the same time, though, as a voter, as a Louisiana resident, as a taxpayer, it feels good to say, hey, there's an actual focus on the money. But how much more intentionality is given to taking care of our dollars and being good stewards of our dollars because we have a fiscal session versus just every other one being, all willing, just open to everything?
Well, I think it's very helpful to have the fiscal session because you are limited to every other year, so it gives people time to think about what policies they want to bring forward. It's a shorter session, and you don't have the other general bills or as many of the general bills there. So I think it keeps the focus. For example, the income tax discussion, that's a big topic, and we're going to need a lot of time to talk about it.
Another big topic, going back to sales taxes, we're only a couple of years away from half cent rolling off, aren't we?
We are.
How big of a topic is that going to be this time around?
Well, this year you probably won't hear a whole lot of talk about it, but in 2 years from now, it's either 2 years. Yeah, I believe it's 2 years from now that sales tax rolls off, and it's over over $500 million of revenue. So it's something we'll have to address for sure. We've been lucky to have these budget surpluses, but I don't anticipate we'll have those surpluses once that rolls off.
Yeah, it's so I don't want to say in typical Louisiana fashion, but if we've got another fiscal session before we absolutely have to address it, I'm guessing it's going to get that way. And if for no other reason, then a lot of folks are running for other offices this year. I don't know if they want to be tagged with that right now.
Well, we need to be smart about it. I think we need to start easing off of dependency on that money. I was first elected to the House right after Katrina, and the state's coffers, we had lots of federal money coming in. We had big surpluses. So we went and quickly cut taxes, which is always nice, but we went probably too far too quick and then got into big fiscal problems where we had to make big cuts.
It feels like there's the balance has been off. We want to cut taxes, but lose the track on it when it comes to cut the spending, and then we're right back to where we have to turn back around. And those who try to be responsible, like yourself, those who try to be responsible on the front end, getting I don't want to say falsely labeled. That's not the right word, but get more of the blame than they should on the back end.
Yeah, once again, I've been around long enough now that try to look long term, and you just have to be cautious and take your time as you move forward to these big policies.
Back at it on Monday for the insurance session, April 10th for the regular session. He is State Senator Franklin Foyle. Safe travels, man. I'll see you up in D.C.
Thanks, Brian. Have a good one. Take care.
You too. We